Hello and welcome back to module number 5. In this module, we're going to talk about part to the whole and ranking analysis and what does it mean with regard to visual analytics. But I would like to start our conversation about the last 4 modules, what we have discussed. We talked about what consists of the vocabulary of visual, which means that it consists of points, it consists of lines, it consists of coordinate system, numbers, symbols, words, and of course colors. But we talked that in compared to text or any other form, visual does not have grammar. Grammar that allowed us to say that points plus lines will be equal to a good visual analytic display. So this is the thing that I want you to have in mind. We do not have what is the best practices in visual, but our textbook started to provide us this outline, best practices. So this is something that one of the things that I want you to express in your blog is that do you agree with the best practices that our textbook outline? So let's start with the idea of what we have reviewed and what we are going to talk about in this module. We also review what is smooth versus rough, and we said that using smooth, we are able to say that its ability to say its fit into our line or curve or the shape of data. And by using that, it is the idea of the visual allowed us to take another layer or understanding of the data in order for us to make a good judgment of the result. So in the last module, we talked about time series by looking at single movement averages, centered moving averages, and also Bavaria time series modules with regard to what it stands for. In this part, we are going to talk about part of a whole. I know it sounds not good, but the idea of it is that it comes from science rocket and the idea of what is the parts that make the whole thing works and what does it do that. Our textbook says that visualize it, help us to understand what does it entail. So if Anna has 3 balls and Bob has 2 balls, how many balls altogether? So yes, this question can be answered by reading the text, but if we will do that in visual, it will help us to capture that quite quickly. So the idea here is that the 2 parts that we have about give us the whole and what we are trying to understand. So again, a textbook says that the idea of the most frequency and most simple types of analysis involve comparing parts of a whole and ranking them by value. And that's the idea of a good representation. How can we apply that into today visual analytics or dashboard if we're trying to understand? In banking system, they are using those parts in order for us to tell us the story of our income. And so in this case, we have an income, a summary, we have a total monthly expenses, we have saving, and we have total cash balance. And taking those parts and combine them into visual display allowed us to better understand our monthly expenses or our monthly saving in order for us to feel that we are on the right track. The idea of part or to the whole or ranking patterns, we can find different elements or different paradigms in that shows how to apply different patterns in the visual in order for us to tell the story or to be able to to display the data. And so again, uninformed comparison to non-uniformity differences, and showing the difference from one value to the next. And by doing that, we are trying to tell a story to the user who try to understand our analysis. One of the things that, again, when I first understood the idea of parts and a whole, I started to understand the idea of pie chart. One of the best things to understand the pie chart is the idea that it consists of parts. Each part consists of what it represents in comparison to the whole. And so one of the things that is often used in visualization, infographics, or in visualization, is the use of 2D in order for it to make it more concise or more understandable. However, pie chart sometimes are hard to understand, or sometimes it's hard to provide us interpretation, because we are forced eyes to balance between different levels and different colors, and with the titles it makes us hard to understand. In this case, what is it more clear? The 38, the 27, the 9, the 2? Again, depends how you look at this pie in order for you to try to understand what it consists. One of the things that I really like about our textbook is the idea of best practices. And one of the things that I will go through, and again, I will go line by line, and I will try to simplify it, is he says, textbook view says, grouping categorical item in a ad hoc manner, and using part or chart with percentage scale allowed us to do better job with regard to how we sort problems and how to address them with regard to visualization. He says that using line graph to view ranking change through time, and we need to be concerned or conscious about that. So the idea of part two graph is the idea that we have a byline, and we have also line that cross in order for us to be able to see the idea of percentage and without percentage. And so in this case, it is almost three-dimensional visual analytic display that allowed us to understand what's going on here. So again, the idea of what does it entail, how can we it allowed us to add another dimension to our visual to tell the story more accurate. Using a percentage scale, there is a great website that allows that, and it displays it in Excel. So if you want to learn about that, you are most welcome. So re-expressing value to solve scaling problems. One of the problems with scaling is that it's really sometimes hard to understand, and usually the difference to see and compare differences is usually really hard. And this is where colors can play an important part of how we scale things. Our textbook recommended view the low values independently in a separate graph, which means you will take the entire scale, the whole, and you will instead display only part of the data in order for people to understand what does it entail. The second recommendation is scaling the value by involving or expressing the value so that they are eventually distributed across the scale in a single graph. This type of scaling should be used with cautious. And again, this is something that is often used, and I will show you how we're going to build one with open source R. So 3 re-expression. So our textbook recommends us 3 expressions to scratch the data: square root, logarithmic expression, and inverse. And by using that, you're going to use, for example, square root and ability to present 50% or above or below, and to inverse the expression is used with a lower or to higher or vice versa. So those are the things that our chapter talks about. I want now to introduce you one of my favorite tools that the same time that I started to use R was introduced. It is based on a browser. However, in compared to what we have other application, Plotly is the idea that first of all you need to log on to the website and be able to do that. You're going to create an account that is free. I don't want you to be charged. And by doing that, you will be able to apply different applications. One of the things that is really fun to use Plotly is a community feed. What does it mean, community feed? If you are looking for data about Florida data and you will do search, for example, you will be able to see someone who already posted in the community about jobs in Florida. And in this case, you can see that there is a lot of job in Florida. And if you're going over there, you will see director, software engineer, application engineer, and everything that it entails. So this is the beauty of Plotly. It's powerful, but has a lot of things that we need to be aware of. Example, the structure. The structure is that Plotly does not allow you to upload 2,000 variables and with 2 million of records. Because it's on the browser, there is a limitation of the amount of data that you are allowed to upload to Plotly. And as a result, you are able to do only minor abilities, but it allows us to apply different type of statistical analysis. Example, create, and so they've given you the ability to different type of trace, different type of data sets, and ability to apply that. There is a good introduction to how to apply plot, how to add the plot, what options or visual option do you have, and by doing that you can scroll down and I'll give you the tutorial to apply that and how to develop your own Plotly idea. So again, this is a good introduction to what we are going to do. I'm going to post on Canvas two set of data, and those two variables, and you're going to try to analyze them or to visualizing using Plotly, and you're going to post it on your blog. So the dashboard, you will need to create a dashboard, you need to create an account, you will need to the aim of the account, the text, add a plot, and arrange the size and the visual arrangement of the plot. That's it for now. I hope you enjoy that, and until next time, have fun.